Hello Skillr fans, today we'll analyse the style of Terence Crawford, one of the most tricky and versatile boxers today and a popular choice for the pound for pound number 1 spot. Crawford has mesmerised boxing fans with his technical prowess. Now let's analyse his style and why he is such a master of the sweet science. Boxing stance. Crawford is a switch hitter, which means he can fight in both orthodox and southpaw stances. You'll notice his foot positioning is relatively wide, allowing him to take control of the ring, as his footwork is one of his biggest assets. Occasionally you'll see him employ the Philly shell or L-guard defense in defensive situations, but most of the time he maintains a wider and more forward stance. He adopts a loose and relaxed boxing stance, which is different from the norm. He positions his elbows more separate and not as close to his body. This approach helps him establish a dominant stance and makes it easier for him to measure distance, parry and deflect his opponent's attacks. This is especially noticeable when he fights from the southpaw stance, where he extends his lead hand to occupy more space and lead the battle in the ring. Strengths. Switch hitting. Crawford's ability to switch hit is the most talked about characteristic of his style. Not only is he comfortable fighting from both stances, but what truly stands out is how effortlessly he transitions between them, even while throwing combinations.
Here go again! But we're out of time in the fifth round. Nails him again! He's back on his heels!
This not only confuses his opponents, but also provides Crawford with various openings and opportunities, depending on the opponent he faces. To execute a switch hitting style effectively, his footwork must be precise, which is often overlooked. Crawford possesses well-crafted footwork, allowing him to evade his opponent's offense by utilizing lateral movements. This unique style has become a hallmark of Crawford's career. Lead hand control. Like we mentioned, when in the southpaw stance, Crawford likes to keep his lead hand extended, using it for different purposes. He incorporates subtle movements and feints with his lead hand, which helps him set up his attacks and keep his opponents guessing.
Crawford overcame to arrive to this.
While Crawford's jab may not receive much attention, it is actually quite impressive. Particularly from the southpaw stance, he employs the jab as a rangefinder. Additionally, he likes to parry his opponent's attacks with his lead hand and counter with his own jab or a looping shot over the top. Counterpunching. Although he can pressure his opponents, Crawford's counterpunching ability truly stands out. His footwork and distance control allow him to capitalise on counter opportunities. When his opponents fall short with their attacks, Crawford quickly reacts with counters, often in the form of looping shots.
Urgency that I was talking about that Sean Porter hoping that
There are the body punches. 28, and there is!
He also possesses the ability to throw his attacks while his opponent is punching, particularly against more lazy or less committed attacks. In such instances, he often counters with hooks or overhand punches.
Interested in engaging right now. Now he waits. Gets nailed again. He drops him on his nose. And Kenny Baylor doesn't bother to count. He's knocked out.
In cases where his opponent refrains from attacking, Crawford often baits them with his signature 2-3 combination from the southpaw position. Most opponents tend to cover up, allowing him to land power shots.
They can't let that happen.
except right combinations up top like that. He made a point before.
Crawford comes into this round having landed 100.
However, sometimes after the straight 2, his opponent attempts to counter, but Crawford, anticipating this, throws a lead hook, timing a perfect counter himself. Now that we've examined the best of Terence Crawford, let's briefly explore a few vulnerabilities or weaknesses in his style. Weaknesses: loose guard. As mentioned, Crawford prefers to maintain a loose and open guard when he boxes. This approach helps him have better reactions and control of the distance. He relies on head movement, footwork and parries to defend against his opponent's punches. However, we have observed that his open guard sometimes gets him in trouble, especially when facing opponents with fast, straight punches who know how to set up their attacks with feints. But it's important to remember that in boxing, even the best defensive fighters get hit occasionally. In the case of Crawford, he possesses a fascinating and undeniably tricky style that proves difficult for his opponents to figure out. We would love to hear your thoughts. What's your take on Terence Crawford? Let's generate some debate in the comments.